sometimes I just gotta let the internet know just how crazy I am. In the
Okay,
subtle of ways.
what happened? What happened?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of the Lone Limit Podcast. I'm your host, Chelsie. This is your host, Jay.
Hey.
And we got an interesting episode today, Jay. There's some things I need to update you on. The internet has been interneting again.
Ooh, what's going on?
Let's get this started, shall we? We're gonna. So here's the thing, right? I know that internet trolls are out there, but I'm pettier than internet trolls. So, sometimes I just gotta let the internet know just how crazy I am. In the subtle of ways.
Okay, what happened?
So
what happened?
One of the bookstagrammers that I follow posted a reel talking about a real dirty book, all right? At this point, The reel has been up for so long, and my comment was up like immediately. So I don't even remember how crazy the book is. I just remember commenting something about like being intrigued by it, even though I should be disgusted.
Okay.
And I'm getting praise, all right? My comments got over 1,000 likes. I'm popping, right?
Okay, pop off, sis.
Right. I'm over here patting myself on the back. And then the internet trolls came. And this man said, I had to take a screenshot because I have to quote this because you're not going to play with me on my internet. First off, the name alone of this person, I was like, I already know you're a troll. Like, this isn't even a real account. Also, if you're going to be an internet troll, have the to be public, all right? Don't be a private profile out here commenting.
Honestly, that's the worst. That is the worst.
Because you don't want me looking through your photos, leaving comments for you, okay? Don't come for me. I'm not the one. Anyway,
she isn't.
They decided to comment, you look exactly like the type of person that would read this filth. So, knowing how crazy
where they at? Drop the address because I'm ready to fight.
No. I did something even better.
Oh, gosh. Am I about to be an accessory to something?
No. I politely commented and said, thanks for the compliment, smiley face. You not about to mess up my day whatsoever. Let me be clear for the people who see this or hear this. I don't care what you comment, you're not gonna get to me. Unless you are stopping my checks, you could call me every book in this world, every word in this world. And I promise you're not gonna piss me off the way you want to. It's not gonna happen. I'm that crazy. I am that crazy.
I feel like that was like low-key an encouraging moment at the end. No, I'm so with it. I just ignore trolls. I just don't even give them the satisfaction of a response. Like, because I want to. And I feel like if I start responding to one, it's going to become a problem. So I just don't. In a weird way, I feel like my first like thing with going like viral was honestly when I was in college. So it was a long, long time ago. Oh, gosh, not that long. Stop aging yourself, Jay. But it was a good while ago. And it was one of those things where it was just like, it was a whole bunch of... Yeah, but it was like a whole bunch of comments from people that don't know me, that have no idea who I am, what I'm about, just like saying stuff. And I was just like, yeah, these people are so irrelevant. And it was kind of like, I feel like I was young to learn that lesson, but it was kind of something that stays with me even to now, because social media was not the same when we was in college to what it is now. It has evolved a little bit and kind of gone through several rotations and purposes and stuff. But even I use different platforms now than when I was in college. But it's just one of those things where the lesson for me remains the same. It's just like, I just tend to ignore trolls. I don't even give them the satisfaction of a response. They can sit there fighting with themselves if they want to, but I'm going to live my life.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because my first instinct was to let them know about themselves. And then I thought about it, and I was like, that's how they win. So to piss them off, I'm going to be happy about what you said. I'm gonna be real happy. Because if the two of us were left alone in the room, I promise you I'm gonna out crazy you. I promise you. I'm gonna say some words you ain't never heard before. But since you're not bold enough to see me in these streets, let me just destroy your day.
I love it.
Because here's the thing, right? If you see something on the internet, you have every right to just scroll and continue on with your day.
Yeah.
There was no need for you to hit the comment button, come over, leave me a little nasty message. I don't know you whatsoever, okay? And the fact that you took the time to click on my profile and see what I look like to comment on my looks, sweetheart, I promise you, you don't want to start that war. I'm not that person.
Yeah. You're not messing my day up. It's all good. Okay. I was gonna say like real sidetrack, just because someone mentioned this like the other day. Someone was like, "So Jay, are you just like talking about books with your twin?" And I was like, "What?" And they were kind of mentioning about how we look alike. Now, I find this hilarious. So I feel like anytime people be like, "Oh, Jay, you look like someone," I'm always like honored because that person's like a beautiful person. So I'm like, "Great, thank you." But then when they mentioned it with you, I thought it was so funny because I'm just like,
are you not honored
I can see
to look
where
like me?
there could be similarities, but I don't really think we like look alike. But when they said it, it made me realize I distinctly remember in college professors like switching us out for each other. And it took us a while to figure it out because we didn't meet until like, I think my junior year. I forget if we were the same year or not. And so like,
yes,
professors had been seeing both of us individually and we had never crossed paths yet. And I remember them mentioning stuff about like a class and I'm like, I'm not in that class, sorry. Like, and I just never like thought anything of it until like we met and I was just like, you're who they think I am.
But to add context to that for people, I also was rocking a fro back in those days because I had freshly shaven my head and it was like a whole grow out process. So we really were not helping them at all.
We weren't. We really were. Also, I mean, I feel like we were also wearing like the college like uniform, which is like hoodie to class, like hoodie and sweats to class.
You mean like right
we
now?
Probably weren't helping. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we probably weren't helping. I think probably the only distinction is that you tend to wear darker colors and I tend to wear lighter colors, but
yep.
And we were like taking similar classes too, because it was like in like the studio and the TV, like, oh yeah. So it was just one of those things where like someone mentioned that and it brought me back to those memories and I thought that it was hilarious. Cause like we don't look alike, but like if you look for them, I think you can see a couple of similarities.
If you know us, we're very different people. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know us, like, I'll accept it. You know what?
Sure. I'm not offended by it at all. I just find it funny.
Yeah. I do have some author gossip for you. It's not funny, but I do have it.
Okay. I'm all ears. What's up? That was a lot of emotions just now.
Yeah, you did. I don't know if you know the author Sophie Lark, I think is her name.
I feel like I've been seeing her name in the book streets, but I feel like I'm missing a lot of context in terms of what's going on.
So, Sophie had a book that went out, like a arc that went out, with some real racist content in it.
Okay.
And people called attention to it. And it turns out that her publisher literally was like, hey, I don't think you should put this out. And she went ahead and did it anyways. And then her apology for it was, I wrote this back in 2024. It was such a long time ago.
Homegirl, 2024 is like a couple weekends ago. What are you talking about?
So people were
what are you talking about?
Yeah. And like when I tell you it was bad, like I literally sat there and was like, this can't be real. Like the way I was like, yo, you really went out in these streets and had the to say this. Like,
I mean, I feel like, am I still missing? Is it like, is the book historical? Is it set in a different time, or is it set in modern day?
I'm gonna read you what she put in this book, and I need the internet to not chop up this clip because I want to make it very clear that I am not the one who believes the statements that I'm about to read.
It's a direct quote.
So don't disrespect me. Yes. Mm-hmm. So one character says, but shouldn't there be a crew of people with questionable work visas picking these grapes for us? And then another quote is, I was inspired by Elon Musk. I used his 5-step design process.
Okay.
And I just went, the Elon Musk who did the Nazi salute at the inauguration, that one?
You see my face? I feel like I didn't need to know. I feel like I wanted to know more context to kind of just be like, I'm lacking information, but I'm good.
She said her intention was to craft and demonstrate a flawed main character, but instead I wrote dialogue that read as attacking to a community that I care about very much. You cared so much that when the publishers said, hey, don't put this in your book, you went ahead and did it anyways? Mm-hmm. Because, like, how many people does it take to tell you, hey, something's wrong here?
Ignorance can only go so far. And she outran that point long ago.
Girl, she said, I wrote this back in the summer of 2024, and a lot has changed in the world since then. Sweetheart, what? She says, particularly in regard to the fate of immigrants worldwide and certain public figures. Some things I would write differently now, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. She said, words mean nothing without action, so I am pausing this book and the series for some rewrites to ensure that my work doesn't contribute to harm. I will also be listening more closely to our sensitivity readers and taking additional steps to educate myself on responsible storytelling.
That sounds like PR got a hold of her and was like, say this.
And like, here's my thing, right? Even if you wrote this in the summer of 2024, the world was already anti certain public figures. And the treatment of immigrants was already a large discussion. Mm-hmm. So either you thought you could get away with your harmful words and like no one would really say anything, or you truly just don't care. Like, you just don't care. And listen, I am not the most educated person on politics, but we've been talking about immigrants and their rights and people who work on farms to pick the grapes for this character for a very long time. Okay? Mm-hmm. So why you thought you could type this apology and think it was going to fix anything, I do not know.
Here's my thing. This is my take on this. To me, it sounds like she has certain thoughts that are expressed in this character, and she had no problems with that. Honestly, I would respect her a little bit more if she just let it live. Because if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Stand on that. Like, obviously, it's going to ruffle some feathers because I think there's a large population of people that significantly disagree with you. But if that's what you believe in, stand on it. Like, why are you apologizing if you don't really stand on it? And that was part of what I had seen on social media.
Being published.
She wants to continue selling books, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like the PR team got a hold of her and was like, say this, because it impacts the dollars if you don't. And that, honestly, that enrages me more. If this is how you feel, this is what you stand on it. Who will support you will, and who won't. Will it impact your dollars? Most definitely. But that's a part of the decision that you're going to make if that's where you're going to be. I'd rather that than a fake apology.
And as someone who has read her book, well, I read one of her books and I said, this is not for me. I'm actually really grateful that I'm not like others who bought this, like her books in the past and like supported her, because even from the beginning, I was like, yo, this girl is not for me. This girl, like, I read one book and I was like, nah, I'm cool. And like, I've been reading the things on Threads and stuff lately. And apparently this is not the first time she said some wild stuff in a book. This is just, it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
And I say,
I can just say we read Topaz a couple episodes ago, and that was historical fiction originally written in 1997, I believe, and then re-released in 2003. That had racist elements in it, and racism portrayed in them, sexism portrayed in them, and it was never disrespectful. It was an accurate displaying of what was happening in the times. As a person that would have absolutely been ostracized in that time frame where the book was set, I in no way felt disrespected. I in no way felt like uncomfortable. In fact, and this is why I gave her the note in terms of, I feel like she wrote that extremely well, and she dealt with it like a sensitive topic very well. So for you to have something set in modern day, let's say America, but even if it's not America, in the modern day world, and you wrote it in 2024, which was just last year, that is not a large gap of time past, and you have racist elements in them that are clear and distinct, that's not an accident to me. That seems extremely purposeful.
Because the thing is like, if this was a sub-character that we were meant to hate and is saying these harmful things, that's something different in the dialogue better be someone putting them in their place. But from what I can tell, that's not how it went. That's not how it went. And I just went, yeah, you gonna have to go sit in timeout and think about what you did.
Yeah. And listen, I think this is something that is very much happening in our world right now, where people are collectively doing this. But I feel like on an individual level, this is something I've been about for a long time, where I let my dollar do the talking. So honestly, this author really wasn't on my radar until this kind of, I mean, we can call it a scandal or controversy or whatever has popped up.
Yeah.
Now that I am aware of her, she will continue to not get it. So I really wasn't in her wheelhouse as a reader in the past, and I significantly won't be so in the future. And I feel like, take that as it may, you can do a lot with what you do and don't support publicly, privately, and especially financially. So
that's fair. I did see something else on the internet. I really need to stay off the internet. At this point, like, someone take the internet away from me.
What's so funny is I feel like I like purposely try not to bug you on specific apps because I'm trying to like be a good friend and support your screen time stuff. But I'm just like, you still be on there and you find out way more tea than I do, and I'm definitely scrolling way more than you do. Our algorithms are different.
The thing also is like, if you sent me things on certain apps, I would probably not scroll as much as I do. But since you're trying to be a good friend,
I am trying to be a good friend.
I gotta go entertain myself elsewhere.
Honestly, though, with you doing your journey, it's kind of helped me stay off of it a little bit more than I usually would. And so I'm kind of appreciating having like a little bit more time in my day. So I don't know. I feel like you bettering yourself is accidentally bettering me, and I'm not mad at that.
You know, whatever I can do to be a part of the change.
The forced change, but I'll take it.
I do have a question for you, which, before I ask this question, I have to preface this with, whatever Jay may answer to this question, do not hold her to. Her answer does have the right to change at a future date.
What's the question?
Hypothetically, if you were in an accident and lost your memory, what book would you read for the first time again? Like, if there was a book that you wish you could experience for the first time all over again, what would it be?
Okay. Oh, okay. Can I only pick one?
I'm just saying you could change your answer at any time, but just one that comes to mind. It doesn't have to be the one, but what's one that you wish you could read again?
Okay, I actually have a little stack. I'm gonna just run off the names real quick, but I have a little bit of a stack. I know that's scary, but they're like certain books that just like hit me so hard that I would love to kind of have a first time of experiencing them again.
Okay.
So on the younger scale of things, it'd be I Tell You I Love You, But Then I Have to Kill You, which is by Ashlee Carter. I've read it before. It's a YA book. That entire series, to kind of experience it for the first time again would be amazing. The List by Sherry Lewis, which is actually on my little shelf here. Love it. I would want to do the entire Spy Girl series, which starts with The Prince, which I've also recced, and I would want to do that in order. And then this is the last one of my stack. I would love to read Jasmine Guillory's The Wedding Date first, because when I ran into Jasmine Guillory, I read her books out of order, not knowing. They are standalones, but they are connected in the universe. And I would love to read her first book first and read them in order for the first time. That would absolutely be something I would like to experience.
That's fair.
That was a lot, but like those are like some of the most important books to me. Oh yeah, Jasmine's also on my stack. So yeah, those are like some of the most, they're on my stack because they're some of the most important books to me. I would want to do them and like re-experience that for the first time.
That's fair. I'll give you 3. Just to keep this sweet and short. Number 1, Butcher and Blackbird by Brandon Weaver.
Good
that
one.
That book, I can't say enough. Vanessa Jared's Got a Man by LaQuette.
Good one.
That one, like, just the dialogue and it makes me so happy and just so many feels. And then American Queen by Sierra Simone, because the drama in that book.
Is that the president one?
Yes.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
So those are my top 3. I'm sure when I go and look at my shelf later, I'll be like, dang, I should have mentioned that one. But those 3, the way they had me, like, I mean, read it in one sitting, just got to me at the right time. And I was like, yes.
You know what's interesting? I'm just realizing that like all but one of mine were series, and I'm such a series reader. Like I love a good chunk of books.
You are.
I love a good chunk of books. Yeah.
Well, since you love a good chunk of books, it's time for book recs, my friend.
Hey, I'm so prepared this week. I'm proud of me.
I know, because I gave you your reminder pre-recording, and you were like, I got it.
I got it. They written down in everything.
All right, then, friend. This week's book rec is just 2 of the last good books you read, because both of us were in a reading slump. So what you got over there? What's helping you in your reading slump right now?
Yeah, I feel like I've officially read my way out of my slump. And this is absolutely some of the books that can help contribute to that. So my first one is going to be Accidentally Famous. Y'all know I love a good fake dating. You have like a Hollywood like it guy, and he posted a picture with an inside joke to his sister on his Instagram, but his assistant accidentally tags the wrong person who has the same name as his sister. And so the blogs run with it that there's a couple with this other person, and this other person is like this super small town girl who does like old home renovations and has like a YouTube channel with like 22 subscribers. Listen, no shade on the 22 subscribers because girl, I understand. But like now she's having like thousands of subscribers because of the wrong tag. And then, of course, you know, like Hollywood being Hollywood, the PR team is like, great, we'll run with this. Y'all are dating now. And it's just like a big Hollywood person in this really, really small town. You know, small towns, everyone talks. It's just so much like calmness and chaos and all this stuff. And it's just so funny. Like, because it's like a small town on a harbor. And so like literally all of the inns are like too small and not fancy enough for his like Hollywood team. So his PR agent rents a whole yacht to just pull up to the dock. And she's like, I'll live here. We're in town. So it's just like so dramatic and over the top, but I like love it. It's so cute. Like all the townspeople have their own little like personalities and their little, I think this book also does a really good job of like highlighting all the little small businesses. And I just thought it was so super cute.
That is adorable. You're going to have to send that to me because I think I might give it a shot.
We talked about it. I don't think you'll like it, but it's a good book. We talked about it when I read it.
I don't like being on this side of the you can't read this.
Yeah, no, you would start yelling at me. It's fine. It's a good book, but you can skip it. Okay, and then the other one... the other one is Intercepted by Alexa Martin. Okay, so this one has been on my list for a good minute. Minute. And she has like a whole series. And this is the first book in the series because, I like to read them in order. And I am hooked. I haven't started the other books in the series yet, but it's absolutely on the list and it'll definitely go into rotation. But I'm hooked. It was one of those books where it was so funny. And that was the thing that kept drawing me in. It was like all of the stuff, sure, I love drama that's not mine, and that is in it from the beginning. But it was just the humor that really kept bringing me in. Like, I laughed so many times throughout. It was really, really cute. I actually did like more of an immersive read with it. So I did it with my eyes and ears. And so, yeah, it was just really, really good. You have a woman that's dating a football player. And you kind of get really immersed into the lives of like the wags and their lifestyle and everything like that. And the football player cheats on her. And so she leaves him as she's threatened to do before. So she actually leaves him and he gets mad, but like his new teammate witnesses it. Cause like when it all happens, he just happens to be there. And he's just like,
how do you get mad that there are consequences to your actions?
That's a whole other thing, and I guarantee we're going to talk about it today. And so the new football teammate goes, let me take care of you. Like, let me get you to a safe space. Like, just give me your address. I'll make sure you get where you need to go safely. Because, like, he didn't want to leave her in, like, this area or whatever. And that is what shifts things. And that caused drama in the teammates' locker room. It caused drama in the WAGs luncheons. It caused drama everywhere in the news cycle, everything. And I was like, ooh, I'm here for it. And me, a sports fan too. So it was really, really good. Like I said, it was the humor that really kept bringing me back. And then it also had a couple of things in there that really made me go, oh, this really makes me want to think about being more empathetic to certain situations. So it was really, really a cute read. I'm excited to dive into the rest of the series. So Alexa did her thing with that one.
Okay. I support. My books are not like your books.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. I feel like when we first started doing book recs, we were still somewhat in the same vein. But as time is going on, things are changing. We are diverging. So my first book is How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. I think that's her name. Essentially, this woman is a park ranger, right? She's got away with animals. She's just one with the earth. And she's on the hunt for this very special mushroom that will help this special breed of moths that are dying out. I don't know. I don't understand it. There were a lot of big science words in there that I was like, that's cool. I don't know what that means. But one night, she finds herself in a patch of these mushrooms and accidentally tumbles down like an Alice in Wonderland hole into a magical fairy world where the prince thinks that she's sent there as an assassin and is doing anything he can to take her out. But she keeps passing all the tests he's putting her through. And so finally at the end, she manages to get free. And that's not a giveaway because the ending of this book had me going, I'm sorry, I'm processing a lot of information at once. I literally just said, now I normally see how we're about to end a book, but this one was different, okay? But, it is what it is. If you're interested, I would say go ahead and check this book out because sometimes you just need that surprise to get you out of a reading slump. Outside of fairies, I would say you need to read Ace of Spades by I don't really know how to pronounce this, so I apologize. I'm honestly at this point, I'm not even going to be disrespectful and attempt to pronounce your name. We'll just look at the picture that we put on screen. Because I feel like it'd be really disrespectful for me to mess up her name. After reading Ace of Spades, the way I've been describing it to people is like if Jordan Peele, the director of Get Out and Nope, took a shot at doing Gossip Girl. That is the best way to describe this book. It's about two teenagers in their senior year. They get elected as perfects, which are just kind of like the best of the best students in the school. And then as soon as they get elected as perfects, text messages start going out, spilling all of their deepest, darkest secrets and trying to ruin their lives. And discovering the culprit of that, I said, oh, I was right, but I was wrong. I finished that book and I just said, you know what? I need to take a moment. I need to take a moment. But it was so good. It was so good. So if you're in a reading slump and you're like me, read my books. If you're like Jay, I say read her books. I feel like if
we got everything covered.
Yeah, like if you're somewhere in the middle, you know what? Do what you will with what we've given.
I mean, check it out. We also have a whole list of options on our books, on our bookshop. So
hit the link below. You'll get it all. Jay, we've got a book to discuss.
We do.
I'm actually excited to discuss this one with you.
Oh,
because
okay.
I have thoughts. I have questions.
Okay. All right.
So let's get into it.
Okay. Yes, let's get into it. We read Rhythms Blues by Kimberly Brown. Yes. I don't know why I forgot how to say Kimberly for a second. That's
That's none of my business. That's between you and your brain.
Okay, what thoughts, questions,
All right, let's start from the beginning. Rhythm is living her nice, quiet life in small town South Carolina. When her old high school crush pops up at her alma mater and spots her in the crowd and says, "Baby, I love you," and then proceeds to woo her and then convince her to move out to LA. At this point, I like Raheem. He seems nice. His backstory, great conversation. Love it. And then we find out that once he gets what he wants, aka her moving to LA, he just decides to start showing his behind, as we like to say.
And you said it better than I was going to say it.
How would you feel if your man, who's a rap star, comes to you and says, "Hey, my label thinks it would be a good idea to spin the story of me dating my label mate, even though I got you at home. We would get tons of money off of this, so you should just let it happen."
I feel like you jumped a lot to get to this point, but
I mean, the only thing I left out is that the internet has already decided him and his label mate are already dating.
Well, no, you left out Rhythm's desires, which is the fact that she was just like, "Hey, I love you, I support you," which is why she came out. But she was like, "But I don't like the spotlight." She was like, "I have no problem supporting you. You can do what you need to do musically." And she supports him, just not in public. She's not on his arm at events. There's a little bit of a distinction. So the reason why I feel like that kind of needs to be established a little bit is because the biggest thing changed with the label mate situation, the fake dating situation is that it's someone to visibly be on his arm at events, all these things, and then they have new music coming out. So to that essence, actually, the way he asked, hard no, I thought it was very disrespectful. However, if I'm actually in a relationship with someone and I don't want to be in the spotlight, which even to myself personally, I'm not a big like spotlight person, I wouldn't be mad at it, but we would need to have
Jay,
we can fight about this. We can fight about this. We can fight about this. What, you thought I was going to agree with you?
Jay, if you ever are dating someone famous and you let them play around in this world about who they are with, I'm going to snatch you up so quick and say, have you lost your mind?
It's funny because I can tell
you've lost your mind.
I can see you, Brian, my mama, everybody calling me. No, okay, so here's the reason why I don't have the biggest issue with the concept. I did not like the way it was presented or anything like that. The reason why I don't have the biggest issue with the concept is like, if you have the contract, there's established boundaries and everything like that. You walking around, you going out, you guys are doing studio stuff, what you're doing anyway for work is fine. The stuff that Raheem was doing was inappropriate and unacceptable. But for me, I'm like, that doesn't constitute the same thing. Like, you can have a public fake relationship and still respect me and mine in my house at home. And that's not what was happening. So that's what I'm saying. For me, I'm just like a true like showmance type situation where there's a contract and there's boundaries. I really wouldn't have the biggest issue with that.
You are a better woman than me. I'm gonna say that because if my man ever fixed his lips to say what Raheem has said, I'm gonna say, are you out your ever loving mind? Because
again, the way he did it, hard no, because there was already disrespect and ill intent in his heart when he approached this subject. So that's a hard no.
Hear me out. I don't care if there is a contract in place that outlines the boundaries of what you can and cannot do. What I said to you was, I didn't want to be in the spotlight. That does not mean you get to go out here and pretend to be with someone else. We're not doing that.
Right. She has no problem. She does not want to be a secret. She just doesn't want to be in public. There's different things. And that's one of the things that was established pretty earlier on in the book is that he went on like a radio show to do an interview. And they asked him about his love life and his involvement with his female label mate. Her name is Lady Lingo, which I thought was a cute little like. I thought it was cute.
I'm telling you right now, you're not about to be out here playing in my face with somebody who chooses to go by the name Lady Lingo. I'm gonna pop everybody's tires. You want to see me be crazy? That's how you do it.
Okay, I didn't like the way he moved. And it was like, and it's literally what Rhythm was saying. She was just like, whether you guys are doing this or not, you already are acting like this. You are already moving like this. People are already talking about this. So like, and that was the reason why I'm like, if it was in this situation set up in the book, it's a hard no. Hard no.
The way he fixed his lips to be like, you need to be a part of the brand. I felt
when he said brand, I already knew it was a rap because, and literally that's what Rhythm's whole thing was. She was just like, you and I, like, I'm supporting you as a person. Your desires and your thing is music, and I love that you're doing that, pursuing that, and it's working out for you. But like, she wasn't chasing him for his music. She was with him because of the man that he was. And then when you fix your lips to talk about your brand, you're forgetting the person that you are behind that. And his integrity was completely gone.
Here's where I got mad at Rhythm.
Ooh.
Rhythm makes the decision to move out, right? But Rhythm is actually riding the fence at this point. And that's what makes me mad. Because she leaves as if she's done, but she keeps telling him to change his ways. So either you're done or you're not. Yeah. Because that to me is sending mixed signals.
I agree. And also, and this is literally how he like found her later. She left, but she did not leave in a way to not be found. Like, he really didn't have to put in effort to find her. And that's why I was kind of just like, okay.
Whoa. Let's cut the... He tracks her by tracking her car, bro. What do you mean?
These are different instances, homegirl. Okay, the first time when she leaves and she just moves into a hotel for a couple of days, she goes to her favorite hotel.
Okay, so that's a crime?
No, not at all. But I'm just like, you also the whole like block it, like that part was exhausting. So my thing was, like you were saying, in terms of her being on the fence, I agree. Because she could have made more long-term arrangements for her to kind of just go to a hotel. And I get it. It was an in the moment, so I don't blame her for that. It was just an in the moment decision. She goes to the hotel, but I'm just like, in real, if you trying to like get away and be done and be away, like at least do like a long-term Airbnb for like a month or two or something like that. Like just something that puts a little bit more space between you. But like I'm saying, going to the hotel where he knows that's where you're going to be, it was just like, he literally just like knocked on doors till he found you. Which honestly, the hotel, I feel like they should have had some more.
But he didn't find her though until her best friend drops the like location on social media. Up until then, he had no idea where she was. So it wasn't like she was actively just being like, "Oh, I still want him to come find me." Like, no. How did you find me?
No, 1,000%. It just happened with the timeline that her friend was in town, yada yada yada. So they ended up doing the whole hotel thing. Yeah, but Rhythm did annoy me a little bit from time to time, but not really enough for me to blame her in any way. I felt like all of her reactions were marginally within like the situations that she was being put in, and I was like, I get it. So I never really had like any beef with Rhythm in any way.
Let's talk about how her best friend Monique comes into town. This is where I started to notice some things with the writing, and we can talk about that later.
What can we talk about it now?
It did not sit right with my soul that magically Monique is getting transferred out to LA and did not tell her friend and put a deposit down on an apartment that they can now magically stay in because Raheem has figured out where they are. Yes. And just like throws it out there. Like, oh yeah, I'm moving and I just didn't tell you. It was a surprise. Surprise. I've already found an apartment. I just wanted to check it out.
I literally have the note and I was like, as someone who doesn't love surprises, I probably would have teared up a little bit to learn that my bestie was moving so close to me. But then I also have like the logistics of how it happened was a little odd though. So I agree with you. I understand like surprising your best friend that you're moving out, but at the same time, like even this trip, like to me, this trip was for Monique was to like get all the things, see the apartment, get the keys, yada, yada, yada. I feel like you should have, your best friend, like this is your best friend. I feel like a conversation at least should have been had, be like, hey, what if I come out there? Like, or something like that. You know what I mean? So it was a little bit odd. The timing was beyond convenient, sure. Yep. But I was just kind of looking at it like, I know she missed her bestie. I'm glad that she was close by to help her in general, but then also to have like a real shoulder to lean on in this process. So even though it was kind of like overly convenient, I kind of threw that out. And I was like, I don't care. I'm happy she has support. And I was like, as someone who moved across the country, literally to LA, I was just like, I would have been elated if my homeboy would have been like, I'm coming. Well, homeboy, my homie would have been like, I'm coming to live close to you.
Did you feel like Monique was really trying to help her get over Raheem? Like, I know she was like, be done with him, but there was no active like, hey, let's talk this through. Here's some sisterly advice. Like, it felt weird to me that Monique, she just was like, F him.
I feel like Monique was trying to do it in her own way. I don't feel like it was the healthiest at all. But I don't feel like Monique was trying to throw off the process in any way, but I also don't feel like she was the correct way to deal with that kind of situation. And when I was reading it, I was kind of like, and I was like, is this just because they're in their like mid-20s or something? And I was just like, I wonder if it was like an age thing. Because I'm just like, your friend needs the process. Like, I'm sure like you being in town for a short amount of time, I understood some of the responses with that. But now that you're going to move here, you can forego a couple of clubs for the night to just like sit and talk and like let her get it all out and process before she's like out trying to be in public when she probably really shouldn't be. And so I was a little torn on that response. I in no way think that Monique is a bad friend, but I just feel like it probably wasn't the right response for what she really needed in that moment.
Let me behave. Let me just behave for a moment. We get introduced to another character named Channing. Mm-hmm. This is where things started to go downhill for me.
Okay.
Channing had 75% swag to me. There was like 25% of like, bro, why did you say that? The dialogue every time he opened his mouth, I was like,
wait, okay. I need an example of someone who has 100% swag so I can know the sliding scale, because I've never heard someone have 75% swag.
It was just like he would say lines and I was like, I'm into it. And then there would be one last sentence that would just throw it all out the window. And I
1,000% get what you mean though. I didn't have the note, but I thought it multiple times and I was like, Channing is a perfect example of how a guy can talk his way into and out of a situation. Like it's the perfect example. Like he could get you, he could set himself up and then he could walk himself to the door at the same time.
I was sitting there and I was reading it and I'd be like, and then he would say one word and I'd just be like, all right, well, that was nice while it lasted.
No, that's the perfect too. Because I had like the swinging of my feet feeling too a couple times. I was like, oh, and then he said something else and I was like, okay.
Yep. See, you get it.
I know exactly. I didn't describe it like that, but I know exactly what you mean. He really had me from like swinging my feet to just being like, okay, all right, okay, yeah.
So Channing is this musical producer who bumps into Rhythm at Rhythm's business, which is like a physical therapy kind of situation.
I thought she was an orthopedic something, but then
orthopedic.
The way her business,
orthopedics is your feet. I thought.
Yeah, but I thought that's what she said that she was doing. That she was doing orthopedic therapy. But then, yeah, her business felt more evolved than that. So I was like, oh, maybe that's just what she studied, and then her business does like more than that. Because her specialty seemed to be like dementia and Alzheimer's. So I wasn't entirely sure, but I was like, okay, girl, we get it. You're smart. You got a business. It's going well. I'm happy for you. And that's kind of where I left it. Are you doing a deep dive right now?
I'm just trying to understand what her job was.
Business owner. That was her job.
You know, at this point, it felt very much just like rehab of some sort of physical rehab. Mm-hmm. So his grandma is suffering from dementia. He goes there to help, and runs into her, and they have a little meet cute.
Well, it's even more chance than that though. The reason why he was there is because his mom like popped a tire or whatever and needed
had a flat tire.
Oh, that
one.
Yeah.
Someone to come change it.
And he was just the closest option. Like she had called like AAA or whatever the thing is, and he was just the quickest option. And so he was able to run over and help. And then when he was done, he was like, oh, I just need to wash my hands. Literally ran into her. It was probably one of the few times, like a literal run-in. I was just like, yes, I'll accept it. Literally ran into Rhythm and was like, oh, snap. And then he was kind of like, all right, cool. Like, I'm out.
Here. One, bump into each other. Oh, it's cute. Two bump-ins. Oh, it's kismet. Three, I'm looking at you crazy. 4, 5, 6, we're done. Because Okay, author, we're done. Because it's LA.
I was just about to say, I was like, the setting is why. Because if you're in a smaller town setting, yeah, that makes complete sense. Where else can you go?
I accept it.
But you're right. It's in LA. You guys have really never crossed paths ever before. And now it's like, he's everywhere. And I was like, I have been living in LA for a little over a year now. I can't even meet up with people I know on purpose. So you're not bumping into a stranger by accident that many times.
It slowly became apparent that this author does not know California the way she should have.
Okay, why do you say that?
Jay, did you notice how everywhere they were changing locations, it happened to be 20 minutes away?
Okay, I will say this. As someone who purposely picked a location that is 20 minutes from everything in LA, I was just like, I don't know where they're going. Like, literally, I remember as I was reading that, I was just like, I don't know where they're going. But I was like, maybe he strategically, like, did his real estate that way. Because nothing is really ever 20 minutes away. And especially the way he describes, like, his living situation, too.
It took her 30 minutes with traffic, and she was upset. And I said, we're talking about LA. What do you mean?
Yeah. That was one of the things where I was just like, I wanna be on board and be like, it is possible. It is possible. Cause I picked my apartment because it's 20 minutes from almost everything in LA proper. But he wasn't living in LA proper. His area, so I was just like, I mean, not to say he wasn't living in LA proper, sorry. Is that he wasn't in a centralized location. So I was just like, you can't get everywhere
20 minutes away. The apartment was 20 minutes away. Every club they went to was about 20 minutes away. The PetSmart was 20 minutes away. Her job was 20 minutes. Like, I was sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
Are we just dealing in a 4-block radius? Because at that point, how did this happen?
Yeah. And then at that point, you're also not getting in the car all that times. Yeah. It was a little bit like, okay.
I think as a California native, I was like, I can't suspend Delulu enough to allow this. Okay.
I was on board with it. I wasn't fighting it that hard.
So then we meet Channing, right? And Rhythm bumps into him, and he's like, yo, she cute. She a baddie. And then Monique convinces Rhythm to go out. Right? And they bump into each other in the club. And then they was doing some more bumping, right? On the dance floor. At this point, we already know, I think we already know that Channing and Rhythm's ex, Raheem, are working together, right?
We know, yes, but they don't know. Yes.
Were you sitting there going, this is going to blow up? This is going to blow up.
Oh, I was ready with my popcorn because I love drama that's not mine. I love drama that's not mine.
I was sitting here going, oh, this is some stuff. This is some
It's going to get messy. It's going to get messy.
When Rhythm ran away from him, because she was like, yo, my body is tingling and it should not be tingling right now. I thought,
honestly, I really loved her running away. I actually really loved her running away.
That was realistic as can be, and I support you.
Yeah, because there were so many things happening for her at once. Like we talked about, Monique having her go out. She probably wasn't in a place to do that. 2, she's having a reaction to a person who's not her man for the first time in a very long time. Like, also, side note, I just thought it was so interesting, her tunnel vision. And that's the thing I don't think people understand, is that when you're in a relationship and you are, like, loyal to a relationship, other people are not an option. And, like, I feel like Rhythm was written in a way that so showed that, right? Because for her, she was like, Raheem is it. Like, there's no other options because this is my man, this is my relationship, like, I'm in with this. And it was just one of those things where it's like, as soon as that was not the case, like mentally, as soon as she just like mentally that was not the case, there's options everywhere. And for the very thing that he was out doing that she never even considered, for her now for the first time, like she's like, oh, okay. And I love that she was just like, it's too soon. Like, I need to like check in with myself first. So that's what I'm saying. I really respected that she ran away because like, yes, it's something to entertain a new thing, but that's also like a big thing for her, because this is the first time that she's getting this kind of reaction since she's considered herself single and since she's been in a relationship with her man.
This is where I felt like Raheem transitioned from baby please take me back to baby I'm a stalker and I'm gonna do what I want.
Raheem really irritated me on a couple of things.
I just have one question for Raheem. Why you always lying?
No. Okay, so honestly, do you know what he looks like? Did you have an image for him in your mind?
Yes, but it wasn't a real image. Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna say it this way. I don't know anyone's age, and I don't know anyone's descriptions other than that Rhythm has curves. So I think I skipped those. Like, I just didn't save their descriptions in my head.
Mentally?
So in my
okay.
head, yeah. So in my head, Raheem is like a YG kind of look-alike.
Okay.
Like, Channing, I don't, who would I cast as Channing? Almost like a Lance Gross if he grew out his beard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Rhythm.
That was not what I had in my mind for Channing at all.
I was out here casting on my own, okay? Like, I was like, I don't know what any of these people look like. I don't know any of their ages. I'm just, to be honest though, also, I thought Channing was from the South until he had that dialogue moment saying that he was from California. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Why did you think he was from the South?
Because he doesn't talk like he's from California. There's like certain slang she could have used.
I get
there were
that.
certain like moments where I just was like, most dudes I know from California, North and South, are not saying these words. So
I get that.
We all run in different circles, so it is what it is. But yeah, the way he was talking, I thought he was from the South. And then you said a line about like, yo, I'm from California. We run it, and I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, I tilted my head and I said, I'm sorry, what?
Okay, this is what I had in mind for Channing. I mean, not for Channing, sorry, for Raheem. And to people that like are really attached to whatever visual you have, if I mess it up with this, I'm so sorry. Hopefully I don't, but I'm so sorry. So there is this show on Netflix that's like a British show called Champion, and it is about, well, it's not about this, but one of the main characters is a rapper, and he is what I saw for Raheem, like through and through. And it's like a taller guy on the skinnier side of things. And like, that's what I saw in my mind. Like, I could not detach that image from my mind. And so like, that's just what I saw. And it was kind of funny because like some of the things that Raheem did as a character fell in line with what this other character did on this show.
Hilarious.
And so for me, I
said hilarious.
No, yeah. So for me, it was kind of just like watching like bonus like backstory to a character I've already attached myself, because that's just how it felt like to me. And like honestly, like even the unhinged moments, I was like, yep, I get it. And then when he was like being sweet and everything too, I was like, I also get it. It just felt like I was watching like an extreme backstory, like prequel to like this show that I've seen this character on. Raheem really frustrated me though, like as a character though. Because I feel like how we were introduced to him, how we wanted to really like him, he made it hard to root for him. We were supposed to
like him? We were.
Oh.
When were we supposed to like him?
I mean,
in chapter 1?
Yes, I feel like there were times that were redeemable. I feel hold on. I feel like until he introduced Imani, I feel like I didn't have any big problems with him.
That was like chapter 2.
Okay, well then, yeah, chapter 1. I thought he was sweet in chapter 1.
Because chapter 1 is like when he comes home with his partners late at night and they're out there in their little smoke circle passing.
That happened in chapter 1? Oh, I started to fight him after that. Okay, never mind. I don't think.
That's how it's like. That was like our first introduction to him outside of when they first reconnected. So I was like, when were we supposed to like him? when she met him at their alma mater.
I think it was like everything that's like not attached to Prince. Like Prince Cole, you know what I mean? And like Rhythm made that distinction too. Like she was in love with Raheem, not Prince Cole. And I feel like everything that showed him being himself, I liked. Anything that was him being like, that's a lot of neck movement going on over there.
Raheem is the one who tracked her down via her car and showed up and knocked on every door and said, "Come home. Stop playing games." Raheem is the one who just decided to keep sending gifts and sending over 6 figures to her bank account. Raheem is the one who said, "I'm going to leave a rose and a receipt for breakfast on your car because you won't speak to me."
I actually thought that was very sweet.
That was a sweet moment had it happened before he blew up her phone so much she had to block him. And then after he got blocked on her phone, he started playing on Monique's phone. The thing is Raheem does one cute thing and does 60 bad things. And then says, in his own version of Stevie J, either you're a part of the brand or you're not. And I said, I'm not part of it. Where is Channing?
Okay, I'm over Raheem. Can I just say there was a couple of quotes that I had?
I'm over him.
There's a couple of quotes that I had that I just really loved from Kimberly. So the first one I have is, "If I meant anything to you, you'd be trying to rectify the situation, not bringing the problem home." And that was Rhythm talking to Raheem.
I know.
There was a couple of times in this book where I was like, I got to start pacing. Like, I just was like, like I needed to just like get out all the emotions because I was just like, yes. And then another one, again, Rhythm to Raheem is like, "I'm not a consolation prize. Pick me first or don't pick me at all." And I was like, girl. And this is why I was like I was so happy for Rhythm for like choosing herself. Like, this is a man that has like, you know, like they have history. And I think that sometimes history can kind of cloud your memory, which is why I say like, for me, I feel like Raheem had like redemption. And I think for me, I was associating him with the Rhythm, with the him that Rhythm knew. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't really taking what he was doing at face value, which at face value, yes, it's bad. I get that. But I was like...
Is that why you're over him now that I've pointed it out?
Yes, because I'm realizing how absolutely toxic he is. Yes. But for me, I was rooting for the man that Rhythm was rooting for. You know what I mean? And that was the one that was like about his music, about his writing. That was when the opportunity presented himself, he made a point to be like, "Hey, I'm interested. And this is what this looks like, you know, in terms of my interest." You know what I mean? So I feel like I was really rooting for that man that obviously did not show up in the book. Until like the very end, but
I feel like we read different books. Well, we gonna continue on. We're gonna put a pin in that because it's gonna come up later. Okay.
Okay.
So Channing and Rhythm bump into each other for the 3rd time at a supper club. And Rhythm says, "I'm ready to risk it all."
Was this the one where the guy was like pushing up on her?
Yes. And Channing comes to save the day.
Can I just say this again? This is the sort of thing where Channing can like talk himself into something and talk himself out of it. When Channing, save her is a weird statement, but like in that case, coming to rectify the situation. Thank you. When he steps in, handles the business and goes, "Hey, are you okay?" And then she's like, "Yes." And he goes to leave. That was the moment where I was like, "Nah, come back here." And then that's literally when Rhythm was like, "Wait a minute." Because I was like, if he had tried to insert himself in the conversation, I'd be like, "You can go." But the fact that he was like, "You're good. Okay, bye." I was like, hold up.
I definitely was like, "So you're not going to stay? You're not going to, hello?
Sir, I'm inviting you back. Come here."
But then my question was, who are you here with? Because he said he had been watching her for a minute, I think. And I just went, were you here by yourself? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But
I thought he was still there with his, like, military
Jeremy?
friend. Yeah.
I don't remember a mention of Jeremy, but Jeremy was also a very weird side quest in all of this.
It was.
But, so Channing and Rhythm finally get together.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rhythm sneaks out in the morning, and I just said, I'm confused.
Also, can I just say this though? Like, even while they were like, honestly, pulling up to the hotel room, I thought that was hilarious, but whatever. I really respected Channing to see that she was not all the way comfortable in that moment, and he was just like, "Hey, like, you still have an active choice in this. Like, if it's ever no, we stop." Like, just having that moment of him like reiterating that to her, I thought was very sweet, to give her the moment of being like, "Hey, if you really need this space," and like, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody takes that moment, especially for something that's like a one night stand.
I felt like it was a nice moment, but he did low-key overreact in the moment. So it was kind of like a weird situation for me.
It was a strong reaction, but I just like the fact that he was tuned into her.
Yes.
And the fact that she was in her head. Like,
yes.
I know this is a book that like we have not reviewed, but it gave me Stevie and Xander's vibes from Mile High. When he was like, "What's going on in your mind? Because I can feel that you're like not all the way here." And so it's just like having that moment of someone checking in on you as a person beyond the interaction, I thought was like sweet.
So brain needs to pull all the thoughts at once, apparently. So
I like saw
he
it.
Decides. I know, it was like 6 of them, and I was like, So he decides, I'm not going to pursue her. When she's ready, she's going to come to me. Which I thought was interesting, how he was like, I'm not going to give her my phone number, like all that stuff. Because remember when they're in the club, when they meet for the second time, and Jeremy's like, "Oh, you ain't hit that yet." And he was like, "Nah, I'm letting her come to me."
Okay.
How am I remembering details of the book that you aren't? It's concerning.
Well, also because it's out of order, because that was before they slept together, right?
Yes. And then they sleep together. And he still is on this like weird journey of like, when I see her, I want her. And I think about her when I'm not with her. But like, it still took a moment. I forget what exactly happens, but finally he's like, we're exchanging numbers. I think it was like he took grandma.
You forgot what happened?
An appointment
to make him want to give her the number?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
There's a reason why.
No, what I'm saying is, was it at the appointment when he brings his grandma to her doctor's appointment and they have lunch together, or is it later on when they're at the listening party and they meet in the bathroom?
Listening party happened first, I believe.
Before what?
Before he took the grandma to the
It's not important. Anyways, it's not that important.
I'm trying to remember the order. I'm so like noteless for this book. Like, it was such a vibe. I just like rode the wave. Vibe. Like my notes are legitimately quotes. I read you 2 of the 4 of them that I already have. Like, and the last one has a bleep in it, so I'm not even gonna try and do it.
Like, I highlighted so much in this book. I have 11 highlights from this book. And I had
several bookmarks as well, yeah.
So going back to the story, because it's kind of interesting. Raheem and Channing are working together on a song and putting his album together. And Raheem is going to Channing being like, I need to get my girl back. Channing,
but at this point, Channing didn't know that Rhythm was his girl. Yeah.
Right. So Channing doesn't realize that. At the same time, Rhythm and Channing are getting closer through Rhythm's taking care of his grandma in a way. Yes. And then I felt like we were in the fast lane, and then the author created another fast lane when we got to the listening party, and Raheem introduces Rhythm to Channing, and Channing just decides automatically, we just gonna pretend like we ain't never met. And then they meet up in the bathroom, and he reminds her that yes, we have in fact met, and then they go running. I literally at this point just went, I can't breathe. I'm holding my breath because something
There's a
is
lot
about to
happening.
go down.
That listening party was a lot because also then we find out that Rhythm actually isn't alone in LA. She has legitimate family there, also in the music business. And so it was very interesting to me because Rhythm had so many like thoughts and concerns about the disrespect that Raheem and Imani were doing. And I was just like, sis, you have a brother-in-law in the industry. Go ask questions if it's really like that serious to you. So it really irritated me that she never utilized that like avenue because like even when Channing talks about it, so Channing from the very beginning, like before knowing Rhythm or knowing anything else, he clocked it from their first session working with Raheem where he was like, first of all, Raheem calls Lonnie, what's her name? Lady Lingo.
Lady Lingo
Imani.
by her government name.
Yeah, he was like, oh, like nobody calls her that. Everyone in music calls her by her music name. So that was number one. There was a level of intimacy that he was like, that's strange. And then the second thing was just like their body language. Like they were always like hugged up and stuff like that. And he was just like, he probably had heard the rumors or whatever, but he was like, oh, that's whatever. And for him, he was like, I don't care. As long as you guys are working, you're doing music together, like it doesn't matter to me. Just get your work done. And then so like when it comes out later that he has a girl, he's like, oh, because in Channing's mind, he was like, oh, I would not be hugged up and stuff with a woman if I have a woman, you know? And then so I think that's also in Channing's mind, like when later on when everything happened, I think that's why for he was like, I have no problems taking you if I want you and you're available because I'm seeing the other side of it. And it's like, well, if he ain't prioritizing you, I will.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Were Channing and Rhythm being messy?
I like this question. I don't know. I don't feel like it's a direct answer. I think if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, yes.
I got a direct answer.
I think if you look at the grand scheme of things, yes. I think if you look at like the little things, no. Like they met organically, completely separate from music and her ex. She was never hiding the fact that she had just recently gotten out of something. He was never hiding the fact that he wasn't looking to get into anything. And that was how they organically connected. And then beyond that, there became an interest after that initial connection and that and whatever, that they go, well, oh, I'm now open to something that I wasn't previously that was still independent and not connected to her ex. Like they had already started to like get to know each other separate from homeboy. And then it was like when they figured it out, it was like, damn. So I don't know. I feel like if you keep it focused on just those two, I say no. But I think if you take everything into consideration, yes. What's your answer?
They was being messy as hell. And hear me out. Hear me out. When they met, they did not know their 6 degrees of separation. Totally fine with that. They keep bumping into each other. Everything is cool. Still not being messy. They get to the listening party and realize their connection. She runs off to the bathroom because she's like, oh my God. Oh my God. He then pushes his way into the bathroom and reminds her who he is. We'll put it that way.
The listening party was messy. If you ever to be like they being messy, I think the listening party was messy. Honestly, the album release.
Hold on.
Technical.
I'm getting there.
Asterisk.
Hold on. False. They're being messy because they're being messy at the listening party, especially when Channing decides I'm gonna ride the elevator down with them and leave at the same time as them. This is where things are starting to get messy. At this point, we're still baseline messy.
Okay.
Things get messy for me when it's time for Raheem's album listening party and Channing says, I'm gonna sneak you in to a party that he wants you to be at and hide you in a room so that I can have you there for myself. And y'all sit there in that room and start playing Let's Get to Know Each Other. While this man is out here on some Dancing in the Rain, R&B, 90s, baby please take me back kind of ish. That is where things are messy to me. Okay? Listen, up until this point, I was like, all right, I can excuse what's going on. But now you've actively chosen to go to his event as a couple and try and hide in the background?
I get it. Here's my thing, what I liked about the album release party is that Rhythm had always said...
knocking lingo out?
That was a perk too. But Rhythm had always said, like, I'm here to support you, but I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to be on the spotlight. Raheem then goes to apologize to her by bringing her into the spotlight, which she never wanted. Now, the thing I did like is that when she...
pause and just be like, this is literally the opposite of what she asked for.
Exactly. And then, so my thing is with Channing, because yes, I did think it was a little bit messy to invite her, whatever, but they were kind of looking like, listen, between our stuff, like, I want you here to support me. Okay. Rhythm said, I don't like the spotlight. And Homeboy said, I just want you there. So you can be in the corner, blacked out, no one will know you're there, but I'll know you here. What? And for me, that was so just like, it's the level of consideration that she's always wanted, though. Where it's like, I'm here to support you, but I just don't want to be seen. I don't want to be talked about. I don't want to be involved in the hoopla of the industry.
Hear me out, though. I could accept it as not being messy if that was an event for Channing. If it had been an event for Channing, I would have said this isn't being messy. He snuck her in through the back door, which is a very typical Hollywood thing to do. I'm fine with it. But the fact that it was Raheem's event...
Yeah.
I honestly don't blame Raheem for then turning around and messing up Channing's car when he finds out what's going on. Because now you out here playing in my face while I'm coming to you for relationship advice.
But at the same time, you're messing up your relationship, though. He admitted that he'd been disrespectful to her for a year. When he said a year, I said, oh, absolutely not.
I want to make it clear. I'm not excusing Raheem's behavior overall. But I'm telling you right now, I would have been on some Carrie Underwood lemonade-ish if I am going to you for relationship advice and you out here doing that. Oh, we gonna talk.
Yeah, when Raheem found out and he was mad for good reason. I totally understand that. The thing that frustrated me was he doesn't know the timeline, and that's why you can absolutely be mad. But the thing that frustrated me, and Rhythm did point out, it was like, you were actively cheating on me while we were in a relationship. And I am pursuing something else as a single woman. Like, Raheem still mentally was like, we're together. And she was like, I told you we not. Ooh.
Here's the thing. Raheem is definitely wrong for cheating for over a year while lying to her.
And bringing homegirl up in the house in her face. Like,
listen, he is absolutely disrespectful for that. But if we're going to talk about communication, Rhythm never says we're done. There's no chance of us ever getting back together. Take a step. What she does say is, you didn't work on our relationship. She said, if you're still out here moving like you used to, and you're asking me to come back. She keeps leaving that door cracked open. And for a man, it sounds like, oh, if I just change my ways, I can get her back. Because I kept reading that dialogue being like, girl, you're not...
I agree. I think she left the door open. But like, as to the conversation that she had with Monique, where it's like, she still loved him. And that's why, and I think the conversation that we had in terms of like...
They're both wrong in this situation. They're both wrong in this situation.
Yes. But I this is where I also look at Monique, where it's like, you didn't take your friend's emotional state into consideration with some of the actions, because the reason why she's leaving that door open is because for her, she's like, you're the love of my life. Like, I want to build a world with you. Like, we were building a life together, and you're having a moment of being like crazy. And so I think the rhythm kept leaving that door open because I really feel like on her end, she was looking at it like, if you do get right, if you do get rid of this, if you do get rid of that, like I'm open to having the conversation because this is a life that I love and have been living. But I think what Raheem didn't account for and Rhythm didn't account for is that she was shown another alternative that was a little bit better, and that she was like, oh, I'm good.
Stop playing house with Channing then. If you saying all of this, that's all I'm going to say.
How was she playing house?
She going over to his mama's house for dinner. She out here playing with the dog, going to Malibu.
Honestly, for me, once she went to Malibu, I was like, oh, Raheem is done. Like, I don't know if he knew, but I was like, in her mind, he's done.
All right, so we're getting to the end of this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Raheem knows Imani out here embarrassing him on the internet with ultrasound photos, all types of stuff. Being messy on her own. Channing out here being like, yo, you the one. Stop playing games. I'm going to be honest. That book could have ended like 4 chapters earlier. The last 3-4 chapters, I swear to you, according to my Kindle, I was supposed to be done reading by 10:15.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't finish that book till 11 because that dragged, and I really had to push myself to finish. What were your thoughts on those last chapters with her parents coming into town? Like, I think I blacked out the last half of that book because there's Raheem's apology, her parents coming to town, and them going to a basketball game. Those are the 3 things I remember in those last, 4 chapters.
Okay, I love the parents coming to town because I thought her parents were so adorable. I think it's one of those things where it kind of shows you a couple that has been in it for a while and is still happy, and kind of showing you, what that can look like. And I think we've seen and heard the love that she has for her parents and love that they have for her, but we still hadn't met them. So I love that we actually got to meet them.
That could have been an epilogue.
The blending of the families seemed soon, in my opinion, relationship-wise, but I get it. It was a little bit of a different situation, so I understood why that happened. But I wasn't mad at it in any way. I thought it was really cute the way Channing and her dad were kind of, in sync with the matter of, oh, we're gonna go find him, that kind of energy. I just thought that was kind of really cute how they were both, looking to protect her in that regard. Mm-hmm. And then I also liked how their moms kind of just gelled as friends. I think it kind of just showed how easy it could be, if they were together, what a life with all of them like that looks like. And I think it showed that.
Could have been an epilogue.
Perhaps, yeah, but I think it was one of those things that really solidified. I think it really solidified this is something real, even though it is relatively quick and it comes right after something that was really long with someone else. This is something that can really be pursued. Even Channing has been saying from the beginning, oh, the next relationship that I take seriously, I want it to last. And so I thought it was interesting to kind of see the flip between them just kind of connecting on a hookup energy to them being on relationship energy, which are 2 different approaches. And I think that as soon as Channing was kind of oh, she's mine, I was all right. Yeah.
I did forget my favorite part is in those last 3 to 4 chapters.
What?
Raheem's audacity to show up on their doorstep with his mama to apologize.
Yo, I laughed so hard.
I was like, Miss Ma'am, you really let your son convince you to come over here and do this nonsense? How did we get here?
I laughed so hard.
I definitely was a little confused as to how he convinced his mom to show up to that apartment and do these things, because it was you saw your son was acting a fool. Had she come by herself and said, I'm so sorry for my son's behavior, I could have let it rock. But he showed up and said, everything you have is on me. I pay for it. It's mine.
I did not like that energy.
I didn't like that energy. And then for her to stand there and listen to her son's behavior and not turn around and be like, if you could just get some act right. Like, do you see how you caused all of this? Like, that was the part that confused me in all of it. But it was also hilarious because at this point, we've had so many people show up on doorsteps and Monique be like, oh, hell no. I was like, y'all don't know how to use a peephole? Like, you didn't want to do that at all?
And she was warned about that twice now. Listen, I get it, though, as a short, I can't always see through the peephole, so...
Yo, you need to get a step stool then, because you're not about to listen. I'm not opening the door. I don't know who you are. Who's knocking at my door? All
yeah.
Right? But yeah, other than that, like I would have been fine with just like an extra long epilogue, because it was like,
okay,
that award that she got, I was like, where did this come? Like, I understand we appreciate the work she's doing, but it just felt like she wasn't working towards the award or anything. So it just felt like a weird placement. But I do want to talk about the epilogue, because the epilogue was cute. The epilogue.
Before we jump into the epilogue, I actually liked the fact that she got the award, because I think it kind of just showed that through everything, she was still about her business. And I think it kind of just, I don't want to say proved, but I think it really showed how she didn't come out to California to be a rapper's girlfriend. And I just mean, so in the fact of like, her business, which was like a gift from Raheem, was like his way of getting her out there, because she was just like, listen, I have goals, I'm doing my own thing. So I think like the award kind of just showed that like through everything, she was still having her own path. She was still attacking and prioritizing herself, her staff, her business, and it was going well, to the point that it's so good that she's getting an award for it. And I think it was also kind of just have a place or a time for Channing to show up for her, because so much of it had been opposite, especially because it was so very music centric. But I do think like the award itself was a little bit random. I just think it would have been cool if they had just gone to the thing. But like I said, I think it was just a time and space to kind of have him show up for her. And also I think it was a time and space for Channing to have his like bro recognition. Like his friend to be like, bro, like you're in love with her. So I think it was kind of like it was a time and space for him to support her, and also a time and space for him to recognize his feelings for her are more on the serious side.
I will accept that. It's not how I felt, but I'll accept it.
Okay. I think it's weird because you mentioned it, but I really feel like we read this book differently.
I feel like there were moments where I was like kicking my feet, smiling, grinning. I was like, this is for the culture. And then there were moments where I was like, sweetheart, I can't take no more scenes like this. Like, I just, it was just one of those things. And we can talk about it when we rate the book. But it was like, there are these cute moments. I think the book overall was like 75% swag, 25% what you doing. I think that might be what it is. Because there were like these cute moments, because even in the epilogue, like they're married and he's like, oh, so you finally gonna give me that son? And I was like, y'all are so cute together. And it's like we get to the record label opening, and it's like things just kind of like she's tying up loose ends, but like I didn't need a apology from Raheem in the epilogue. Because if I had been Channing in this situation, like, first off, how did you get into my building? We got problems.
That was my question. Because why was he not on a ban list on that security? Yeah.
Right. And then second of all, like, there's no apology that you could give that I'm going to accept. Like, you stalked my woman. You disrespected her publicly. Like, you destroyed my car. And you was out here acting a fool. So we could have just left it the way it is. Like, it wasn't on site, but we didn't also need an apology. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I appreciated the apology. For me, they kept talking about how they had. I am. I think they kept talking and hinting about how they hadn't heard from him. They hadn't heard from him since the last situation. So I think it kind of like it allowed him to no longer be like a ghost of being like, we haven't heard from him. Like, should we look over our shoulder? So I liked that final, in terms of being like, hey, like, yeah, you have taken care of her, like, whatever, wish you well. I think it also kind of showed him in a more stable state. Like, again, I feel like I keep wanting to see the Raheem that Rhythm knew, where he kind of just kept showing up as Prince Cole throughout the whole book. And like that apology showed me like that was the energy of like the guy when she met him at the college concert. Like that was the energy that it brought to me. So I just kind of looked at it like as a stabilizing thing for Raheem. Like Channing mentioned it when he first meets him in terms of like, oh, this guy's been in the industry for a while. He's doing really well, but he needs to like watch out for his ego. Like that was the reputation coming around him. And so for him to kind of have a moment to come back and apologize, it kind of felt like he was giving way for, I'm just being about the music. I don't really care about all the extra stuff anymore.
Check this out, sweetheart. You talking about your brand. Keep that same energy, all right? You out here
keep that same energy, fam.
Like, check this out, boo-boo. Like, you were the one out here talking about it's different now. You in Hollywood. You are who you are. Like, either you riding the bus or you not Stevie J wannabe. Like, KTSE, keep that same energy. That's how I felt. And Raheem, you can kick rocks. But I will say this book really triggered my urge to be petty. So that might be why we read it in different ways. Because there were lots of moments where I just was like, you could be petty. In this moment, you could be petty. The way I wanted to be petty. Like when Raheem calls Channing and Rhythm is in the car and he's crying about how he needs to get his girl back and Channing is trying to get him off the phone. The way I would have been petty in that moment is unhealthy.
Why can I feel it and hear it? I know what you was going to do. No, I actually love that exchange.
That car microphone, it would have been like, hey, could you get off my man's phone? Thank you. Listen, I said it at the beginning of this episode.
I'm definitely more on the rhythm side in that regard, where I would have just been quiet and just been like, all right, cool.
I'm going to ruin your day if you try and ruin mine. You're not going to ruin mine, but I promise you I'm going to ruin yours.
No. Yeah.
With that being said, it's your favorite time of the hour.
We rating the book now. Hey. I don't know. Maybe because it was like such a music-led book, I felt like just in my vibes.
What we
rating
Brian
it? Sees this, he's going to be yelling at me about dancing. Okay, so I'm rating it a 4.5. It's not a 5 for me.
That sounds about right for you.
It's not a 5 for me. I can't explain why, but it's just not all the way there. But I think it's a little higher than a 4. Like I said, like I rode the wave of vibes for this book. Like it caught me early and I was just like locked in. Like the quotes, the moments, the drama, I was locked in. So, yeah.
So we started out at a 4.
Okay.
We finished at a 3. If I'm being generous, it's a 3.5.
Okay. What dropped it down for you?
Number 1, the inaccuracies of California. Don't be disrespectful.
That's such a petty reason. Okay.
Number 2, the dialogue. For me, it was like I would be in it and I would be kikiing with them. And then somebody just had one too many sentences in their dialogue. And I said, I am no longer kikiing with you. I can't.
Yeah.
There's nothing left for me to give.
I get that.
And then the final thing that dropped it down for me was just that I felt like we had completed what the story was. Like 3 or 4 chapters earlier, and then we got this fluff. I think if everything had been woven in together a little bit cleaner, I could have stayed at a 4 because that epilogue was so cute to me. Like they were married. He was like, girl, you better give me a son. And then they went to go christen his office. And I was like, this is the type of epilogue that I want.
Okay.
And then here came Dusty, Crusty, Ashy, Raheem. And I said, I didn't need you. We were done with you like 5 chapters ago.
Okay.
But I will say this though, I'm definitely still open to reading more of her books. Like, this is not going to be the last time I read her books.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, after I read it, I read another one of hers because I was just like, okay, let me see if I like more of your writing or if I just like this book. And the other one I read, I liked it too. So I was like, okay, cool.
Okay, lit.
Yeah.
That was easy. I feel like normally when we hit this point of the episode, we're arguing. So it feels a little wrong to end so nice.
Are we? What?
I think the urge to just start some nonsense to start it is here.
No, we can end on a good high mutual note. Like, what?
I think it might be my intrusive
You just
thoughts.
want drama. You just want drama in our lives.
It's my intrusive thought. So what I'm going to say is, be a Channing and not a Raheem.
Yes. Also not an Imani, because mess around and you will get decked in the bathroom.
Be a Monique, not an Imani. And if all else fails, just be grandma and say whatever you feel like and blame it on your dementia.
That's so real.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Our Chaos, guys. As a friendly reminder, because I think technically as content people, we're supposed to say this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Every book we talk about, for the most part, is going to be linked on bookshop.org. So go ahead and click that link below and go shopping. Because when you go shopping, it helps the channel. Please and thank you. Also, all our socials are linked below. So go ahead, do what you got to do. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.